All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into healthcare innovation. And you've sent over a really interesting set of materials. We've got a white paper, some news articles, even a conference presentation. It looks like it's all focused on, how healthcare is kind of transforming right before our eyes.
Yeah, it is. It really is a fascinating time to be looking at this field. I think what really stands out to me is this idea of how technology is changing healthcare. It's blurring the lines between what we used to think of as traditional healthcare and the everyday ways that we think about managing our own well-being.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's not just about going to the hospital or making a doctor's appointment anymore. We see smartwatches everywhere. People are tracking their sleep with apps.
Hmm.
Even, AI is starting to be used to diagnose illness.
Exactly. And those are just the things that we're already familiar with. We're going to be digging into some even more cutting edge advancements a little bit later. But I think, first it's important to unpack the shift that's already underway. This white paper that you shared calls it the move from reactive to proactive care.
Okay, so let's break that down. I think most of us are familiar with reactive care.
Yeah.
You get sick, you go to the doctor, they treat the problem. But proactive care, that sounds almost futuristic.
Yeah, it is kind of futuristic in a way. Think of it as like using technology and data to identify potential health issues before they become serious problems. And wearables are a great example of this. They can track your heart rate, sleep patterns, activity levels. It gives you and your doctor valuable insights into your overall health.
Right, so it's like instead of waiting for something to go wrong, we're using technology to kind of stay ahead of the game. Almost like having a personal health coach, like right there on your wrist, constantly monitoring your vitals and nudging you towards healthier choices.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes beyond just wearables. Imagine, an AI program that can analyze mammograms,
Mm.
and it's 99% accurate at detecting breast cancer at stages that are so early that treatment is way more effective. So that's the power of proactive care enabled by technology.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Mhm.
Catching diseases early like that could be a game changer for so many people. But I imagine that this level of innovation doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, there must be some key factors driving this kind of rapid progress.
Yeah, absolutely. This white paper, it really emphasizes that fostering a culture of innovation within healthcare organizations is crucial. And they actually offer some pretty intriguing strategies for doing just that.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of strategies are we talking about?
Well, they talk about the importance of empowering employees at all levels. So, from doctors and nurses to administrative staff, giving everyone a chance to contribute their ideas. Because, frontline healthcare workers, they're the ones who see these challenges every day. So, they often have incredible insights into potential improvements.
All right, they're the ones in the trenches, so to speak. Yeah, it makes perfect sense to tap into their knowledge and their experience. So how does the white paper suggest organizations actually do that?
Well, one suggestion is creating what they call innovation hubs. And these are spaces where staff can brainstorm, experiment, and collaborate on new ideas. They also stress the importance of collaboration across different departments. You can't have innovation in silos. Bringing together different perspectives and expertise is key.
So breaking down those barriers and getting everyone involved in the innovation process. That sounds like a recipe for some pretty creative problem solving.
Exactly. And one of the most interesting approaches they highlight is crowdsourcing.
Okay, crowdsourcing in healthcare. Now that's a concept I need you to unpack for me.
Sure. So it's about harnessing the collective intelligence of an organization's entire workforce. Think of it as a way to tap into the minds of all the nurses, doctors, technicians, everyone on the front lines, and using their insights to drive innovation.
So you're saying, hey, you're the experts dealing with these challenges day in and day out. What ideas do you have to make things better?
Exactly. And, they suggest platforms like IdeaScale that allows organizations to collect, evaluate, and prioritize all these ideas in a structured way. This ensures that the most promising innovations are the ones that actually get implemented.
That sounds incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second. Are there any potential downsides to crowdsourcing in a field as complex as healthcare?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the white paper does acknowledge that there are challenges. One of the biggest is ensuring the quality and validity of the ideas. Not every suggestion is going to be, a stroke of genius. Some might even be impractical or unsafe.
Right. And I imagine privacy and data security are major concerns when you're dealing with sensitive patient information.
Oh, absolutely. Any crowdsourcing initiative in healthcare, it would definitely need robust security measures. You'd have to have very strict ethical guidelines to protect patient confidentiality.
Right, so it's all about balancing the potential benefits with a clear understanding of the risks involved.
Yeah.
It sounds like some organizations are already seeing success with this approach, though.
Yeah, they are. The white paper spotlights the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, as a prime example. They've created what they call an innovation ecosystem that actively encourages their staff to submit ideas.
That sounds impressive. What kind of innovations have come out of this ecosystem?
Well, one really powerful initiative has focused on reducing veteran suicide rates. By combining data analytics with suggestions gathered through their crowdsourcing platform, the VO was able to develop a new mental health screening process.
Wow, so they're tackling one of the most critical issues facing veterans head-on and using crowdsourcing as a tool to help find solutions.
Yeah.
What does this new screening process actually involve?
Well, it's designed to identify veterans at risk of suicide much earlier, and that way they can connect them with the right resources faster. It's a great example of how crowdsourcing can actually lead to tangible improvements in patient care.
It really is. It's amazing to see how tapping into the collective knowledge and experience of the VA workforce is leading to such impactful solutions. And it sounds like the VA isn't alone in this. Are there other examples of crowdsourcing in action?
There are the UK's National Health Service, the NHS. They've also embraced this approach. They've actually used crowdsourcing to gather insights from both healthcare professionals and patients to improve their care delivery.
Now, that's what I call patient-centered care. What kind of initiatives have they implemented?
One really notable project focused on refining cancer treatment protocols. They used a crowdsourcing platform to get real-time feedback from patients undergoing treatment, and this helped them identify areas for improvement in communication, care coordination, and the overall patient experience.
So they're actively involving patients in shaping their own care. That's a powerful concept.
It is. By integrating that direct feedback, the NHS was able to personalize care plans, improve communication between patients and healthcare providers, and ultimately enhance outcomes for those undergoing cancer treatment.
These examples from the VA and the NHS are truly inspiring. It's clear that crowdsourcing, when done right, can be a really powerful force for positive change in healthcare.
Hmm.
But let's zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture here. Where does all of this fit into the broader landscape of healthcare innovation?
Well, what's really fascinating is that we're seeing this convergence of different forces, right? Technology, data, and human ingenuity. They're all coming together and driving this incredible wave of innovation.
Yeah, it's like we're standing at the edge of a new frontier in healthcare. And it's both exciting and a little bit daunting. I mean, where do we go from here? What does the future of healthcare innovation look like?
Well, you'll have to hold on tight because we're about to explore some truly mind-blowing advancements in the next part of our deep dive. We'll be talking about personalized medicine, AI-powered robotic surgery, and the incredible possibilities of virtual reality in patient care.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
I can't wait to unpack those topics. But for now, let's pause here and take a moment to let all this information sink in.
It's a lot to process, but I think it's crucial to understand these foundational shifts in how we're approaching healthcare, because they're really laying the groundwork for some truly remarkable advancements.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening, while we get ready for the next part of our deep dive, think about this. With all this talk about data, technology, and cutting-edge treatments, what aspect of healthcare innovation resonates most with you? What are you most curious to learn more about? Hold on to that thought, and we'll pick up the conversation in part 2.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of healthcare innovation.
It's amazing to think about everything we've already unpacked, from the shift towards proactive care to the potential of crowdsourcing.
And just wait, because things are about to get even more fascinating as we explore some truly mind-bending advancements that are shaping the future of healthcare.
And I'm ready to have my mind blown. We left off talking about personalized medicine. And I have to say, the idea of treatments tailored to an individual's unique DNA is incredibly intriguing.
It really is a game changer. Personalized medicine, or precision medicine as it's sometimes called, takes into account all those tiny variations in our genes that make us unique and uses that information to create more targeted and effective treatments.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we're talking about treatments that are custom designed, almost like a bespoke suit tailored to your specific genetic makeup.
Exactly. Imagine a world where doctors could analyze your genes to predict your risk for certain diseases and then intervene early with personalized prevention strategies or even gene therapies.
That sounds almost like science fiction, but I guess the line between science fiction and reality is blurring more and more these days.
It is, and personalized medicine is already making a huge impact in areas like cancer treatment. For example, there's a new gene therapy that's showing incredible promise in treating certain types of leukemia. It essentially reprograms the patient's immune cells to target and destroy cancer cells.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like giving the body's own defense system a supercharged upgrade to fight cancer.
Precisely. And personalized medicine isn't just limited to cancer, it's also being used to develop targeted treatments for rare diseases, cardiovascular disease, and even neurological conditions like Alzheimer's.
It's amazing to think about the possibilities, but I imagine there are challenges and limitations to this approach as well.
There are. One of the biggest challenges is the sheer complexity of the human genome. There are billions of base pairs in our DNA, and we're still unraveling the mysteries of how they all interact and influence our health.
It's like trying to solve a giant puzzle with billions of pieces.
Exactly. And analyzing all that genetic data can be time-consuming and expensive. We need to develop more efficient and affordable ways to sequence and interpret genetic information so that personalized medicine can become more widely accessible.
Those are definitely important considerations. But even with these challenges, it seems clear that personalized medicine is going to play a major role in shaping the future of healthcare.
Absolutely. And as our understanding of genetics continues to grow and technology advances, personalized medicine will become increasingly integrated into mainstream healthcare.
It's an exciting time to be following these developments. Now, shifting gears to another mind-blowing advancement, let's talk about AI-powered robotic surgery.
Ah, yes, the rise of the robot surgeons. It might sound like something out of a science fiction movie, but these sophisticated machines are already assisting surgeons in operating rooms around the world.
I have to admit, the thought of robots performing surgery is both fascinating and a little bit unsettling. Can you explain how this actually works in practice?
Sure. It's important to remember that these surgical robots aren't autonomous. They're not making decisions on their own. They're controlled by highly skilled surgeons who use them as incredibly precise tools.
So they're like extensions of the surgeon's hands, but with even greater dexterity and control.
Exactly. The robot arms have a much wider range of motion than human hands, and they can filter out any tremors or shaking, allowing for incredibly fine and delicate movements.
That sounds like a huge advantage, especially for complex procedures that require extreme precision.
It is. And because the robots are so precise, they allow for minimally invasive surgery. Instead of making large incisions, surgeons can make tiny incisions and use the robot arms to perform the surgery internally.
So less cutting, less scarring, and faster recovery times for patients.
Precisely. And because the incisions are smaller, there's also a lower risk of complications and infections.
It's incredible to think about how robotic surgery is transforming the operating room and improving patient outcomes.
It is. And as AI technology continues to advance, these robots are only going to become more sophisticated and capable. They'll be able to analyze images in real time, assist with complex surgical tasks, and even learn from previous surgeries to improve their performance.
Wow, it's mind-blowing to think about the possibilities. But at the end of the day, it's still the surgeon's expertise that guides the robot.
Absolutely. It's the combination of human skill and judgment with robotic precision that's truly transforming the field of surgery.
It's like a perfect partnership, each bringing their unique strengths to the table. Now let's switch gears again and talk about another fascinating application of technology in healthcare, virtual reality.
Ah, yes. Virtual reality, or VR, has come a long way from just gaming and entertainment. It's emerging as a powerful tool in patient care, offering innovative solutions for everything from pain management to physical therapy and even mental health treatment.
I've heard about VR being used for pain relief, but I'm not quite sure how that works. Can you paint a picture for me?
Imagine you're experiencing chronic pain. VR can transport you to immersive virtual environments like a peaceful beach or a serene forest that distract you from the pain and help you relax.
So it's like a mental escape from physical discomfort.
Exactly. And it's not just about distraction. VR can also be used to teach patients mindfulness techniques and breathing exercises, which can help them manage their pain more effectively over the long term.
That sounds much more engaging and empowering than just relying on medication.
It is. And VR is also proving to be incredibly beneficial in physical therapy. Imagine being able to practice movements and exercises in a virtual environment that simulates real-world scenarios.
So instead of just doing repetitive exercises in a clinic, patients can engage in virtual activities that are both therapeutic and fun.
Precisely. This makes rehab more engaging and motivating for patients, which can lead to better outcomes.
That's a brilliant application of VR. And what about mental health? How is VR being used in that area?
Well, VR is proving to be particularly valuable in treating conditions like anxiety, phobias, and PTSD. It allows therapists to create safe and controlled virtual environments where patients can confront their fears and practice coping mechanisms.
So, for example, someone with a fear of public speaking could practice giving a presentation in a virtual auditorium.
Exactly. And for veterans with PTSD, VR can be used to create immersive simulations of traumatic events, allowing them to process their experiences and develop coping mechanisms in a controlled, therapeutic environment.
That's an incredibly powerful application of VR. It's amazing to see how this technology is being used to address such a wide range of healthcare challenges.
It really is. And as VR technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more innovative applications emerge in the years to come.
It's clear that VR is no longer just a futuristic concept. It's a powerful tool that's already making a real difference in people's lives.
And it's just one example of how technology is transforming the healthcare landscape, creating new possibilities for diagnosis, treatment, and overall well-being.
It's an exciting time to be following these developments, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Well, hold on to your hats because we're about to dive into another fascinating aspect of healthcare innovation, predictive analytics, and preventative care.
Okay, I'm intrigued. This sounds like we're venturing into the realm of futuristic predictions.
In a way, we are. Predictive analytics is all about using data to identify individuals who are at risk of developing certain health issues before they even show symptoms.
So we're talking about using data to predict the future of someone's health.
Exactly. By analyzing vast amounts of data from electronic health records to lifestyle factors, we can now identify patterns and trends that indicate an increased risk for certain conditions.
So for example, if someone has a family history of heart disease and also smokes and has high blood pressure, predictive analytics could flag them as being at higher risk for a heart attack.
That's a great example. And once these high-risk individuals are identified, healthcare providers can intervene early with lifestyle changes, preventative screenings, or even medications to reduce their risk.
It's like taking a proactive approach to healthcare rather than waiting for something to go wrong.
Precisely. And this approach has the potential to save lives, improve patient outcomes, and even reduce healthcare costs in the long run.
It sounds like a win-win situation. But are there any potential downsides or things we need to be cautious about when using predictive analytics?
That's a great question, and one that researchers and ethicists are actively exploring. One consideration is ensuring that the data used to make predictions is accurate and representative of diverse populations.
That makes sense. We wouldn't want these algorithms to perpetuate existing healthcare disparities.
Exactly. We need to be thoughtful about how we develop and use these technologies to ensure they benefit everyone equitably.
It seems like with any powerful technology, there's always a responsibility to use it wisely and ethically.
Absolutely. As we continue to develop and implement these incredible advancements in healthcare, we need to have open and honest conversations about their potential impact and work together to create a healthcare system that is more equitable, accessible, and effective for all.
Well said. And speaking of working together, our next topic brings us back to the power of collective intelligence and collaboration.
Oh, you mean crowdsourcing? I'm sensing a theme here.
You're right. It seems like this idea of harnessing the wisdom of the crowd keeps popping up as a key driver of innovation in healthcare.
And for good reason. It's a powerful approach that can lead to some truly remarkable breakthroughs. Remember that project we talked about earlier, the one focused on reducing veteran suicide rates?
Yes, the VA's initiative to develop a new mental health screening process. That was a great example of how crowdsourcing can make a real difference.
It was. And it highlights the fact that crowdsourcing isn't just about gathering ideas for new gadgets or treatments. It can also be used to address some of the most pressing challenges facing healthcare systems today.
It's about tapping into the collective knowledge and experience of those on the front lines, the nurses, doctors, and other healthcare professionals who see these challenges every day.
Exactly. And when you combine that firsthand knowledge with the power of technology and data analysis, you create a potent force for innovation.
So crowdsourcing isn't just a trendy buzzword. It's a legitimate tool that, when used effectively, can lead to real improvements in patient care and system-wide change.
Precisely. And it's something that healthcare organizations of all sizes can embrace. Whether you're a large hospital system or a small community clinic, there's always value in tapping into the collective intelligence of your workforce.
It's about creating a culture of innovation where everyone feels empowered to contribute their ideas and work together to make a difference.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this second part of our deep dive into healthcare innovation.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, from personalized medicine to robotic surgery, from virtual reality to predictive analytics.
And we've just scratched the surface of what's possible in this rapidly evolving field. In the final part of our exploration, we'll delve into some of the broader challenges and opportunities that lie ahead as we navigate this exciting new era of healthcare.
Stay tuned, folks, because the future of healthcare is unfolding right before our eyes, and it's a story you won't want to miss. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into healthcare innovation.
It's been quite a journey exploring these groundbreaking advancements. From personalized medicine to AI-powered robotic surgery, from virtual reality to predictive analytics. We've covered a lot.
We really have.
Yeah.
And while it's exciting to think about all the possibilities and, envision this future where technology helps us live healthier lives, I think it's important to acknowledge that this path is not without its challenges.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We can't just get caught up in all the excitement without, thinking about the potential downsides and, just how complex all of this is.
Right. Like, for example, we talked about how important it is to make sure that these advancements are accessible to everyone, regardless of, their income or where they live. It wouldn't be right if these life-changing technologies only benefited a select few.
Absolutely. Health equity needs to be front and center as we're figuring all of this out. And it's not just about access to care, but it's also about affordability. We need to make sure that these innovations don't become so expensive that they're out of reach for the average person.
It's a tough balance to strike, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like fostering innovation, but also making sure it benefits all of society. And speaking of balance, there's another thing we need to think about. The regulatory landscape.
Oh, that's right. As these technologies are evolving so quickly, regulations and policies need to adapt as well. We need to find that balance between encouraging innovation and at the same time making sure that patients are safe.
Like walking a tightrope. Too much regulation could stifle progress, but too little could put people at risk.
Exactly. And that's why collaboration is so essential. Healthcare providers, people who are developing these technologies, regulators, and policymakers all need to be working together to figure this out.
It's definitely complex, but when everyone is committed to improving healthcare, amazing things can happen. And, sometimes innovation isn't about inventing something totally new. Sometimes it's about taking what we already have and making it better.
Yeah, I agree. Just think about something as simple as improving communication between healthcare providers. That alone can make a huge difference when it comes to patient safety and outcomes.
It really can. What about streamlining all the administrative processes? So much time and energy is wasted on paperwork and bureaucracy. Just imagine if we could free up healthcare professionals so they could spend more time focused on patient care.
That's a great point. And we can't forget about empowering patients to take a more active role in their own health. Giving people the tools and information they need to manage their own well-being can be incredibly transformative.
Right. It's about moving away from that, kind of paternalistic model of healthcare where the doctor dictates everything and moving towards a more collaborative approach where patients are active participants in their own care.
Exactly. And that's actually one of the things that I find most exciting about all of this. It's not just about the technology. It's about people. It's about empowering people to take control of their health and their well-being.
That's a great point. And it's a reminder that innovation is an ongoing process. We can't just be satisfied with the way things are. There's always room for improvement, for questioning assumptions and finding new and better ways to do things.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to have that culture of innovation within healthcare organizations. A culture where people feel comfortable being creative, collaborating, and, being open to new ideas.
We need to celebrate the people who challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
The people who are willing to try new things and push the boundaries, because that's where real progress comes from.
Well said. As we're wrapping up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. The future of healthcare is being shaped right now. It's not something that's going to happen way off in the future. It's happening right now.
Yeah. And the most exciting part is that we all have a role to play in shaping that future. Whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a technology developer, a patient, or just someone who cares about health and well-being, your voice matters.
Your ideas matter. Your actions matter.
So stay curious, stay informed, and and stay engaged.
Because together, we can create a future of healthcare that is more equitable, accessible, and effective for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of healthcare innovation.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
And to all of you listening out there, keep those innovative minds buzzing, because the future of healthcare depends on it.